I want to introduce you the next group we have here, and we're going to talk about some rail technology. It's not your granddaddy's railroad anymore, and unless you're on a tourist railroad, you're not shoveling coal. Technology is playing an extremely important part in American railroading in the 21st century, and we have a panel here that's going to talk about that. Our moderator, Bill Glavin, who works for Bridge Farmer and was the first Rail Division Director at TxDOT, is your moderator, so please welcome him.
Thank you, Peter. You stole all my thunder for the introduction on that topic. I have always had technology near and dear to my heart when I was with the Class 1 Railroad, and of course when I was with TxDOT as well, especially as it relates to safety and cost cutting and better information for the movement of the cars and everything that's going on in the railroad industry. I have a great panel here today. I have Michael Bruce with RSI, Jacob Hansen with Nexxiot, and Rob Henrichs with the Siemens Corporation. I do have some brief bios that I'd like to be able to read to you. If I can see them, I've got them on paper. I've got them electronically as well. So that makes it a challenge. Rob Henrichs, even though he's not starting the thing, he's the only one who gave it to me in paper form, so I'll start with him. Rob started his career with Siemens in 2011. He has held various positions with Siemens Customer Services Group. Those roles have included project management and the sales of locomotive and coach business, led service engineering department, deputy director of locomotive and coach business, director of bids for customer service, head of projects for light rail, and is currently the segment director for overhaul projects and upgrades. Rob holds a bachelor's degree in business management from Colorado State University and a master's of business administration from the Southern New Hampshire University. He lives in California with his wife and 3 boys and enjoys coaching his kids in basketball, football, and soccer in his spare time when he's not traveling to conferences like these and speaking on them. Number 2 is Michael Bruce. Michael is a Senior Vice President of Services for Trinity Rail, a supply chain leader currently responsible for leading the development of the digital services to drive efficiency across the rail shipper supply lines and chains. Michael has 20-plus years of experience in the rail industry across several leadership positions in marketing, sales, hub operations, technology, business development, and business development. Specifically, Michael spent 20 years with BNSF Railway, holding several positions, and I'm losing my place, in marketing, sales, and customer service, operations, business management, and strategy. He has been with Trinity Rail for the last 2 years, where he is responsible for developing digital services under RSI Logistics brand, and has been instrumental in developing products and services aimed at positioning rail for growth in a rapidly changing and growing markets. And Jacob Hansen is Corporate Development Manager at Nexxiot, where he focuses on strategic growth initiatives, partnerships, and merger and acquisition opportunities. With a background in finance and a passion for innovation and logistics in the IoT space, Jacob helps drive Nexxiot's mission to deliver smarter and more sustainable supply chains. First up is going to be Michael Bruce with RSI.
I need to add to my bio that I also love my family, so I'll do that next time. Thank you for having me. Appreciate the warm introduction. We're here to talk about technology, and I certainly am passionate about this in the rail space. Thank you. How many know who RSI even is? All right. a smattering of hands. You all get, it's under your chair, you get a prize. We knew exactly who you were. How many are shippers with rail? I looked at the invite list, not a lot of shippers. Well, RSI is here to serve shippers, to make rail easier to do business with. If you look at the last decade, you've seen a lot of growth in the rail industry. You've seen a lot of technology advancements, and we've also seen a lot of disruptions, namely COVID-19, which we all have come to. Ironically, I actually got my first COVID shot in this room, which is kind of interesting. Shippers continue to focus on two things: cost optimization and service reliability. And that's really what we're here to do. We're here to make rail easier to do business with and grow rail market share. If you can see here, RSI was established in 1984. We've got about 250 clients across the US, North America, or Canada and Mexico. And recently we were purchased, or RSI was purchased by Trinity Rail. Trinity Rail has a pretty large footprint around manufacturing, new car maintenance. They also have 700 plus customers and 900 users of our products and services. Combined, we have 80 years of experience. You can see that Trinity leased their first car back in 1979, RSI in 1984. And so combined, we feel like there's a really good product or strong product in the market where we can continue to evolve and drive a transformation within the rail industry. So that's the end of the who we are. So what's our service product? I want to focus on the middle section. Why am I going to focus on the middle section? Is because data is everywhere. As you know, and as I've come to appreciate, data is inherent to everything that we do. And it can help us drive flexibility, redundancy, cost reduction in our market and our industries. You're seeing that people in the markets are engaging us differently in this environment where we're seeing a lot of softness, primarily because they want their staff, their organization to focus on their core business. So they're looking for folks like RSI to come in with rail expertise to allow them to drive efficiency. And also, as we know, looking around here today, there's a changing workforce that rail is experiencing, where you're losing a lot of expertise, a lot of institutional knowledge, and technology solutions can help fill that gap. So as part of Trinity Rail, we would pick up the phone when a customer would need new rail cars. We build rail cars, and we would pick up the phone and say, how many rail cars do you need? And they'd say, we need 200 rail cars, and we'd dust off the last contract, add 200, send them the contract and say, sign here, and we'd build 200 rail cars. Then about 10 years later, they'd have a compliance event, and we'd say, okay, do we have something for you? We have a shop that we can shop that compliance event and fulfill your needs. And that's really where Trinity Rail played for a significant amount of time. With RSI and Trinity, we now can help them analyze their data, analyze their shipments, optimize those shipments, and drive efficiency. So when they call and they say, hey, I want 200 rail cars, we might say, you only need 190 rail cars, because we can see how you're utilizing these, we can see where you can gain efficiencies, and even as a builder, we might tell them to buy less rail cars, but instead equip them with technology to help continue to drive efficiency. We're in it for the greater good. And those are the types of interactions that we're seeing now with the combination of RSI and Trinity Rail. Again, focusing on optimization. As a 3PL, we manage quite a number of rail cars in different shippers' fleets. And so we have information on an aggregated level of what the industry is doing. So the way I like to describe this is when I was a track star in high school, I could continually try to beat my time in the 100 or 200 yard dash. And I try to go after my personal record each and every meet. With the aggregated data that we have available to us today, we can not only compare yourselves to what you used to be, but now we can say, hey, in aggregate form, here's what the industry is doing around cycle times or dwell. And therefore, you can compare yourself to the guy next door to see if you can beat their record. Maybe a bad example, but that's how it makes sense to me. We're also trying to balance flexibility with resilience in the rail network. And over the past 5 years, RSI has really taken hold in our customer supply chain solutions and opportunities. We've provided that flexibility. So what's the challenge? The challenge is we have a lot of data, but that data is disconnected. You have shipper data, they collect their own data. You have railroad data, that's CLM data. And you have industry data. And how do we take those three environments and combine them to help drive decisions? Number one, RSI is putting a lot of time and effort into predictive analytics, using things like AI and machine learning to detect issues really before they come, helping customers look around corners, and drive decision by exception versus having to look at everything each and every day. We're also developing technology around common language where we can ask things like, hey, show me where all my loads are on the network, or show me where I'm paying this, or I'm experiencing this much dwell in a particular area. There we go. So we use a product called Rail Command. That's part of our Rail TMS. We manage about 3 million shipments a year. If you look at what we're doing in technology, we're deploying GPS on our fleet. We'll have, by the end of 2025, about 10,000 rail cars equipped with GPS. You'll hear Nexxiot talk a little bit about that today. We're also developing new tools to drive efficiency around demurrage, rate management, which is saving our customers millions of dollars a year. Since I have like 2 shippers in the room, we're here for you. In all seriousness, again, just to restate our mission is to make rail easier. Our mission is to drive rail modal share, and we feel like the technology we developed over the last 40 years and into the future will help us do that. So that's what I had for you to do today. Thank you for your time.
Next will be Jacob Hansen.
Hi, everyone. I'll let him pull this PowerPoint up. As you can see, I do not have 20 years of experience on the railroad like Michael. But this is my first time ever speaking, so bear with me if I make any mistakes. But thanks, everyone, for having me here. Really, the one thing that remains constant in our transportation world today is growth. Each and every year, speed, timeliness, and reliability become more important as rail attempts to position itself ahead of alternative means of transportation to reclaim modal share. To combat alternative modes of transportation, rail must adopt new technologies which gives clients visibility. Real-time insights enable faster decision-making across all stakeholders in the supply chain and enable a more efficient transportation ecosystem as a whole. The digitalization trend has just begun and it's beginning to accelerate. Whether it's within the North American rail fleet or in intermodal markets, this is no longer a novel idea, but a reality. And that's where Nexxiot steps in. Nexxiot was founded about 9 years ago, and we are headquartered in Zurich, Switzerland. Since that time, we moved to the US about 6 years ago, and since moving to the US, we have been laser focused on rail shipments only. With our partners, which is over 100 organizations, we've successfully monitored over 1 million assets worldwide, which have traveled cumulatively about 23 billion miles. And thanks to sensors and other technologies, we've generated over 235 million user-defined alerts. These alerts can be anything from a geofence trigger, I crossed from here to here, a speed alert, an impact event, tons of other things that I'm sure I'll cover in the next few slides. So the photo you're seeing on the screen now actually indicates every location in the world where a Nexxiot telematics device is deployed. Not every single dot is necessarily one device, but it's actually a cluster of hundreds, if not thousands of devices throughout the world. As this ecosystem continues to grow and develop, into a full fleet, we will see greater optimization as we continue to learn about patterns and trends in real time. And thanks to RSI and people like Michael, we'll really be able to put that data to good use with some more industry expertise. We are well aware that the rail network continues to develop with a combination of modes from sea to port to rail, and insights that used to be impossible for us to decipher and find of these alternative modes with historical data sources are a thing of the past thanks to real-time technology. If we can track our Amazon packages or our pizza from the second we order it to our doorstep, why can't we do it with the freight shipment? So, how do we create all this visibility? So to start, I want to direct your attention to the main thing where all these lines are going to. That's our globe hopper or our gateway device. Think of that as everything has to connect to there before we can transmit any messages up to the cloud. So for us, it's the Nexxiot globe hopper. This device is a 10-year maintenance-free unit with a solar panel embedded into it, and is Class 1 Div 2 certified along with every other sensor that we have up there. So this is going to be your location, it's going to be speed, and it's going to be impact. Next, on the far left of your screen, is a load tracker device. This is going to say, is my rail car loaded or is it unloaded? This becomes quite a powerful signal if we start looking at that when we start analyzing movement patterns. Next, on the very top and on the very, very far right, or I guess it's on the left of the screen, this is called a vector device. It has an anglometer in it and a magnetometer. That's a really fancy way to say it can tell you if something's open or closed. This goes on your hatches, it goes on your doors, and we can even mount it directly on the handbrake itself so we can see is it applied or is it released. Next, we have a temperature monitor, mostly used for tank cars. And then finally, this fancy wheel and bearing drawing. This is a new sensor. It'll be coming to market later this year. It uses a combination of harmonics and temperature to be able to give really, really good indications of what that wheel set health is looking like. Then I would be in trouble if I didn't mention, but there is this RailPulse logo here. For those of you who have not heard of RailPulse, it is a coalition of shippers, railroads, as well as lessors and car manufacturers whose really goal is to standardize telematics and KPIs throughout the industry. The purpose is so right when you equip, you can have confidence to know you're going to see value from these telematics day one and not have to deal with all the testing and proving out the technology. We've been with them since they started in the original tender process of 300 organizations. Now we're down to 4. So with them, we're really driving a lot of good change in the industry. So this whole digitalization movement really started with a simple question for everyone: where's my rail car at? And by providing data every 5 minutes with the globe hopper device, we create visibility that enables supply chain synchronization that we've never seen before. For example, we had a steel shipper just the other day come up to us and say, hey, we're having a lot of problems with kind of crew scheduling because we hear from our railroad when something will be delivered, and it's not always there when they tell us it will be. Thanks to geofences and having an independent data source away from CLM, we're able to enable a lot better pipeline management because they can now say, okay, we know exactly our car is here, we should tell the crews to come out. Along with real-time location, telematics allows us to gather asset health data, which includes security alerts. As criminals become more organized and target high-value shipments, the importance of understanding exactly what is going on with your rail car becomes that much more important. Nexxiot telematics devices are always monitoring, meaning you receive an alert each time a door or hatch is opened and every time a handbrake is applied or released. This can be sent via email, via SMS, however you prefer. This data allows us to pinpoint locations where a damage claim occurred, which accelerates chain of custody assignment and provides proof through real-time data. Far too often in rail, just situations make it so we have to be reactive. Nexxiot strives for an environment where we know there could be a problem before that incident occurs. Prevention is the key to avoiding problems, and bad news never gets better with time. With our load empty sensors, as well as the telematics unit, we're able to decipher and interpret a lot of events that maybe led to a tilted load, that maybe led to your rail cars emptied, that allow you to take proactive measures so it doesn't have kind of downstream implications. So once all your assets get equipped, the question becomes, how do I get to see all my data? And for us, whether it be through our UI or someone like RSI, we provide you the data and you decide what you do with it. It's your data, you own it. As a general rule of thumb though, the more data you have, the better those insights will be. The bigger you can grow your digital footprint, the easier it will be to build tools that help you and your teams uncover operational efficiencies. So with that, do you know where your rail cars are right now? If you stop and think even for a second, imagine having the peace of mind of being able to look at your phone right now and know right where every car in your fleet is or where any of your incoming shipments are. Thank you for your time. I will hand it back over. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jacob. Next up is Rob Henrichs with Siemens.
Thank you for having me here today. Two great presentations I have to follow up on now. I will get this out in the open right away. I'm from California. Please don't hold that against me. Today I wanted to talk about, obviously, technology and rail. I come from the passenger side of the business, so locomotive, coaches, light rail vehicles. Since I started at Siemens, I've been hearing a lot about data, digitalization, how we can transform that and help our customers out. Been hit over the head with it for the last 15 years. There's a lot of great things we do. We do have TSSAs, which are technical support supply agreements. We have full maintenance contracts where we use data to do predictive analysis, do condition-based maintenance. Let me make sure I can go through the slide deck here. So this is kind of a salesy slide deck, so I'm not going to take you slide by slide through it. It's kind of boring. What I would like to talk about, though, is as I move through this, something that's really cool that we're doing in our factory in Sacramento is we are, if I can find it here. Yes, okay, here we go. So we're doing a lot of accident and corrosion repair out of our Sacramento facility. Part of that is using 3D scanning technology. So we strip the vehicle down to the car shell, basically. We use a 3D scanner. It looks kind of like a transom with a scanner on top of it. And we can take a digital model of whether it's an accident or whether we're doing corrosion repair on a car shell. And then we can overlay that on the Siemens digital model that was, the CAD file that we made for the actual build of the vehicle. So as you can see here, as we go through the presentation, so what you can see is you can see the deformities in the car shell. You can see where it's out of tolerance. It tells us where potentially we have to cut out members, replace members. If you look at some of the color coding on the screen, you'll see that typically where it's gray or the colors are darker, that's where you have more damage from. As you can see here, here's a locomotive that's been in an accident. Basically, the whole cab was damaged here. So replacement of the cab was recommended on this particular accident. As you can see, the windshield, the crash energy management and the front of the locomotive has been totally deformed. So here we would take basically and build a whole new cab and put a whole new cab on this locomotive. Okay, here we go. If you look at the side of the locomotive, you can see there's deformity in the side, there's rippling. You can see where the circles are. There we would have to do some heat straightening. The pivot pins for the trucks have been damaged and misaligned, so we'd have to go in and replace those. But all of this can be done at our factory in Sacramento. We've done this probably on 4 or 5 accident vehicles there, and then we're also bringing this technology to our Lexington facility in North Carolina that's opening in the next few months, actually. And then some more pictures of scanning and damage. And then as you can see here, as we get further in, this is actually the repair process that we would use. So it shows you where we would remove things, where we would totally replace, let's say, members, cross beams, any underfloor components, specifically for this actual accident. So there's a lot of, I have another presentation that if anybody wants to talk to me in the chat room afterwards, I can walk you through it. I don't want to get into the details of all the engineering up here because it can get kind of dry a little bit. So, but definitely something that I think is cool, and then I can walk you through it in the chat room afterwards if you'd like to hear more about it. So thank you for everyone's time. Have a good rest of your day.